By the oh,
Clean this thing up.
I couldn't hear it. I can't hear it this time. I could hear it last time. I don't know what you did differently.
Thing, I don't know. Yeah, I thought you could hear it again. Guys, it's Monday. It's 5 o'clock. It's time for a little after hours real estate. Chris Peshek. I'm a real estate broker with Peshek Properties outside of Austin, Texas, in Dripping Springs, Texas. My man over there, Stephen Babcock, mortgage loan originator with Motto Mortgage. He is in Lago Vista, Texas, also just outside of Austin, Texas. Man, you had a bridge washout this weekend.
You know what's funny? We weren't here for it, but we drove home wondering if we'd even make it home. And when we're driving down the road and we get to turn left into our neighborhood, and the road was blocked off past that. So
Wow.
yeah, so it was that close from being a major inconvenience for us. Although I know it was for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Not to lessen it at all here, but
No,
yeah,
not at all.
we were pretty lucky.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Same over here. Is the well, yeah, I'm not going to ask that question because that runs the risk of lessening it again, and we're not going to do that. Um, Guys, if y'all don't know, we're talking the floods that have hit Central Texas and are kind of still going, man. Like Copper's Cove got hammered today. A lot of places got hammered,
You know,
and it's continuing to happen.
so we moved in 2020, and there had been these huge floods right before then, and the lake was full.
Yep,
And
28.
we got a boat, right, because our neighborhood had a boat launch, and the boat fit in my garage, and it was just convenient. And so, another family has a boat. And what didn't really occur to me until this week, we haven't been able to use the boat for 2 years because the water level's been so low. But what
Couldn't
just
even put it
occurred
into
to
the
me
lake.
is that if the water level is high, that means there's been some sort of tragedy like this 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, maybe 8 times out of 10, but yeah,
It's rare that the lake just fills up and nothing bad happened, right? I mean,
that would be
and it's rare that it
yeah,
fills up. It doesn't fill up slowly. It empties slowly and then
yeah,
fills up immediately, like
yeah,
overnight, and literally not figuratively overnight. It's
right.
crazy.
Well, and that's the thing. Like people don't realize the reason that the Highland Lakes exist, Lake Travis, Lake LBJ, Buchanan, all of the ones on Colorado. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'll get this thought out of my head. And also Canyon Lake, that's been at 50% capacity. The reason they exist is to protect everything downstream from floods.
Yeah, they're literally called reservoir lakes. There's two of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they exist for this reason to slow floodwater down. Um, so
Yeah, ours raised what 10 feet in a night, and y'all gotta understand.
mm,
Y'all gotta understand how wide these lakes are. I mean, for it
yeah,
to go up 10 feet, and it keeps getting wider too. So every foot is more of an achievement than the last.
yeah,
It's unreal. It's unreal how much water we got. I mean, and it's more than 10 feet now.
yeah,
I think it's closer to 20 feet that it's gone up. I mean, if you think about that, like two houses or one single house worth of water in front of you. It's just unreal how much
yeah,
water that actually is.
yeah.
So
And it can, I mean, they can still, I think they're still about 20 foot below capacity or
they are. Yeah.
normal pool, not capacity. They can go way the hell up for capacity.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, one of the things we do, the reason it's called After Hours Real Estate is because the whole point behind this show is for a lender and a realtor to get together and talk about stuff like they were having a beer and have people just kind of sit in and talk about it. So we typically drink some adult beverages. My friend, what do you have today?
More of a big deal when there was COVID and nobody could get out, so they could
Yeah,
like live vicariously through us. I
yeah,
am drinking some y'all's beer.
what is that? Y'all's beer.
Can
What
I?
is
Can
what?
I? This is backwards on the screen, isn't it?
No, that's right.
Okay,
No,
it
that's
looks like
Revolver.
backwards to me. It looks inverted or whatever. But yeah,
That's
y'all's beer
Revolver. Okay.
from Revolver Brewing.
Yeah.
It's crisp. It's clean. It's crushable.
At least that's what they say.
It's good. It's good.
Revolver is in Bee Cave.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely local.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Good stuff.
thank
I'm
you,
also
Revolver.
drinking a local beer.
Revolver,
I,
if you'd ever like to sponsor the show, you just let us know. I'd be happy to
that's
drink
a
your beer
fact.
on this. This is
Yep.
good stuff.
I'm drinking a local as well.
Let me rephrase it. Revolver, we're in desperate need of your help on the show. Here you go. Here you go, Chris. Cheers.
All right, man. I told the people we're going to talk about mortgage rates, so let's talk about mortgage rates. Um, do you just want to get into this article?
You know, yes. And I'd like people to know, I'd like to preface it with how boring the news has been in mortgages recently.
He says
Everything
recently.
else in the
He means,
world, eh?
well, you say recently. I mean, what you mean is basically everything except for a 1 month period in the last 2 years.
Correct. But recently, as in these last few shows,
Well,
um, yeah, it's been pretty boring.
yeah.
You know, there's a
Uh,
lot of speculation, but for the most part, it looks as though until the jobs market takes a major hit, we're not going to see any improvements in
yeah.
rates.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll
there's an
see.
interesting note on that today as well. But we're going to go to our favorite source, guys, Mortgage News Daily. We talk about it all the time. They give an average of what happens that day every day across all the loan or all the major loan products. And 6.79, it's up 0.04. The headline: mortgage rates continue higher for the third straight day. If y'all last week, I think I talked a little bit about how they had been down recently and down as far as 6.65, I think, on average. And so now they're up to 7.79. So up a tenth of a point.
You just said 7.79.
Sorry, 6.79. Apologize. This is only a couple hours ago that this was written. For the entire second half of June, it was easy to be spoiled by the absence of volatility in mortgage rates. During that time, rates were either lower or unchanged every single day.
Which is
Past
what
few
we were
business
talking about when I said it was boring. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Past few business days have been a different story. This began last Wednesday as the bond market began a small correction ahead of Thursday's big jobs report. A correction is a normal occurrence that often follows an extended run in either direction. They can be short, as in a single day, or they can mark a bigger picture turning points. So what this is saying is basically they have corrected for 3 straight days now. We'll never know if last week's correction would have been a one-day affair because the very next day, the jobs report continued pushing rates higher. And that's what you were just talking about. At that point, rate movement was no longer a correction. It was a response to economic data. So talk about that a little bit, Steve. You had just mentioned, unless we get a bad jobs report, why does people having jobs push rates higher?
The Fed has two jobs, mandates rather. Their first mandate is to keep unemployment low, and their second mandate is to keep inflation around 2%. They
Okay.
can do that using interest rate manipulation. And right now, the second part of that, the inflation rate, is not at 2%. I don't know where it is actually. I haven't checked it in a while, but I'm fairly positive it's not at 2% yet. Um, but it's been brought under control to a certain degree. I haven't been seeing articles of inflation going crazy, right?
Right. And
Um,
when that happens, you know it's under control.
uh, correct. And so then the next thing you look at then are the jobs numbers, and if unemployment starts going up, which I do believe we had a bad reading, I don't believe the reading was bad enough to justify going crazy with rate cuts. I do believe the economy is bad enough to justify rate cuts, but I think that Jerome Powell has a deep, burning hatred, passionate, mega issue, and
Yeah.
hates him more than whatever. So I don't think he's going to cut unless he absolutely has to. And right now, as long as the jobs numbers look okay, he's just not going to feel that pressure.
Yeah. So currently, May, which is the last reported one in trading economics, was 2.4. We were 2.3 in April. The numbers, I guess, for June aren't out yet because June just ended, obviously. So interesting. I mean, it was pretty much right on with expectations. I guess expectations were 2.5. So yeah.
Yeah, I know the jobs number expectations were off by a
Oh,
lot, but inflation seems to be an old story, right? Um, both sides hate each other, so if there's something to say, they'll say it, right? If
yeah.
inflation were bad, we go, "Oh God, look what they're doing to inflation." It's easy to, so
I'm
Let me see
trying
here.
to, I was hoping I had a
That's
chart.
probably too much. What I'd really be interested is just in showing the expected jobs number compared to what actually came in. It was a pretty massive change. Um, but at the end of the day, it wasn't horrible enough to spark any kind of long-term concern. It's a short-term
Right.
fear. Uh-oh, are the numbers going to continue getting bad, or was this a fluke kind of thing? We'll see on the next. If next month they come in bad, we could have a rate cut. Then or the next month. I mean, we could.
Yeah.
But
Well,
again,
and we had been hearing that and I'm still trying to find this data. We had been hearing that now all of a sudden they were going to accelerate rate cuts because they had been saying, no, we're going to push them off maybe a quarter of a percentage point in December. And then the last thing I heard like 3 weeks ago was, no, we're accelerating them now. We're probably going to have three total 1/4 interest rate point reductions.
so
And then
Chris,
now with this information,
what do you think would happen to our economy if the Fed did 6 rate cuts? Well, like they say, right? And rates went up.
wait, if they did 6 rate cuts and rates went up,
Right.
interest rates went up,
Correct.
our economy would freak the hell out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the reasons they're not interested in pushing this right now, because there has not been a lot of interest in our bonds recently.
Yeah. Nobody's buying bonds. Um,
Specifically, there is no replacement, but most countries around the world have been losing a lot of appetite in the dollar. The dollar's had its very, very weak performance. If you typed in dollar performance, that would be
yeah,
interesting to watch. In the last 3 months or so, it's just been the dollar has been losing value like crazy. Um,
I can't find that. Okay. But keep
don't
going.
worry about it. Bottom line is that I don't believe our bond sales are going to be doing quite well. And if you drop
No.
rates, okay, but you still have to sell your bonds. And if nobody's buying the bonds, that means the Fed's going to have to buy the bonds. And if they're buying the bonds, that means by their very definition, they're causing inflation because they have to create the money to buy the bonds, which they can do. They can create money out of thin air. We have given them that power. And so they
Yes.
create the money, they buy the bonds, and then that keeps the price low. Well, they did that before, and we had 2008, right? And then they did it
Yep.
again, and we've had what we're in right now. And so if they do it a third time, man, I can't imagine ever
That's
getting as low as we did in rates, and I can't imagine the rest of the world being okay with us just continuously printing money to make ourselves powerful. There's only so much of the world that's going to put up with that for so long. If they
yeah.
can't do it and we can, and just because we have the printers in the world trades in dollars, that's it. It's the only reason why. They all have printers too, but the world doesn't trade in their currency, right? And as
Right.
soon as the world decides our currency is no good, we go to some other currency. And again, no one knows what the other currency is yet. In fact, I would go as far as to say there is no other currency, even Bitcoin. However, that's changing quickly. If you look at the fastest rising
Yep.
currency, it's cryptocurrency.
Yep.
It's become more widespread use. It's got more widespread use than almost any currency. It's crazy. I'm not saying it correctly, but the increase in its use is higher than any other currency.
Right.
That's for sure. So
I'm doing a terrible job of Googling today, so I'm just going to stop.
it's all right. Good. I might have stuff to say anyway. So
Yeah,
there you
it's
go.
all good. So now at the start of the new week, there's been some follow through to last Thursday's rising rate momentum. Friday was closed for the fourth, carrying the average mortgage rate to the highest level since June 25th. That's the bad news. The good news is that July or June 25th rates were the lowest since early April. So again, just more of the same, basically, right? I mean, that's
Well, it's
the end of it.
it's also a good learning lesson, right? If you looked at the title of the article compared to the very
Oh yeah,
last line,
absolutely. We always talk about that. Let's. What was the article or the title?
the
Mortgage rates
tarticle
continue
the
higher.
tarticle was
Yes.
mortgage rates continue higher for third straight day, and the very
Yes.
last line is the good news is that the rates were the lowest they've been since early April.
Yes. Thank you. Um, and it's I want to here. I'll look at the overall chart. Like again, you go in here and you and I've talked about this. Like we've been in basically a holding pattern since 23. I mean, peaks and valleys, but not much has changed in that time.
God, I remember doing mortgages that low too in the
We're in that
twos.
same band. Oh, over here.
I had one guy that bought his rate down to a 1.9.
That's nuts, man.
1.9%. It might as well be free money. If you think about the inflation rate, there was no way this guy's going to lose. You know,
Dude, I'm telling you, my timing was amazing. Um, we took cash out of our house to build an office and financed it for 3.625. I mean, I where are you going to get a construction loan for 3.625?
where are you going to get any money for 3.625?
No, doesn't happen.
Literally anywhere.
I should have took out more.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I would have done with it,
You
but
know,
I
I
should
could
have.
take. I
Yes,
could have taken
but
out
I
a lot
should have.
more from my house. I kept trying to convince my wife to let us because the rates were so low. I said, I don't even care if we go underwater. I don't
Yeah,
care. Last
yeah,
time we went underwater in 2008, we had these HARP programs, so you could get back to
right.
even. And if you overborrowed, then it was in your best interest to do so because now you could be anyway. So it didn't exactly work that way, but
Yeah.
kind of did. You know.
No, it really did. Yeah, exactly
so
what happened.
yeah. So I don't
Um,
know. I
all
don't
right,
know,
man.
man.
So let's talk a little bit. We talk projections a lot, but what have you been hearing recently? Just kind of on what's going to happen. I mean, is it literally all tied? Because here's the thing, man. If jobs start going away, then I really can't see the Fed lowering rates anyway. Like they're not, like you said, Powell hates Trump. So why would he do anything to help him out?
Most lenders I'm talking to and economists that I listen to are not expecting rates to make big moves this year.
Yeah,
In fact,
yeah,
if anything, they're expecting rates to stay the same or fluctuate plus one, plus or minus one, right? Um, Mainly because there's so much uncertainty and turmoil out there. No one knows what the hell is going on. I
yeah.
mean, literally zero people alive have been alive for tariff wars,
Right.
right? Like we used to do with our country. So
Yeah,
to say, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen to our derivatives and our whatever, fill in the blank. You've no idea. You've absolutely no idea. No one has any idea. Well, they have ideas, but they don't know for sure. And so I think another thing most people don't understand is that investors are the ones that move the market. It's not quite so much the market, although it does have its own life.
yeah,
And if the investors want the rates to stay at 7%, then the rates are going to stay at 7%.
yeah.
They're just not going to put money, or they're going to put enough money to where they can keep it stable and wait and see what happens. But the whole reason markets move is so that investors can make more money on what they think is going to happen, right? And so right now they just don't know what the hell's going to happen. They're just in a holding pattern. So
Right.
people can expect that their mortgage rate should stay roughly the same right now. Again, plus or minus about 1% moving forward until something settles down in the economy, right? We just had this huge tax bill get passed, this big, beautiful, ridiculous bill, and I don't like any new debts, so I'm against it, but
Yeah.
whatever. And so, you know, there should have been some sort of impact on that, and because there wasn't,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that most bond traders, which really means mortgage, are worried about our overall debt, and they're worried about the tariffs. But number one, tariffs,
Yeah.
because that's short term. Long term is debts. So, we'll have to see what we're looking like in about a year. Is what I would say,
And it's
maybe
it,
two.
and it's interesting you bring that up because I was reading about it this morning, and I mean nobody knows what all this stuff's going to end up doing, right? But
Right.
I was reading about it, and overall, like there's people that are going to end up getting more money in their pocket as a result. Yes, it's going to add to the debt. Who knows how much? But overall, people should have more money in their pockets. So, you know, what do good American citizens do when they have more money in their pocket?
Spend it.
Spend the shit out of it. So it should be good for the economy.
So it's funny though, if you look at other economies, let's say Japan, they had such a horrid crash in, I believe it was the 80s, that their people now in general save money. So
Yeah.
Japan has had this incredibly low interest rate yield over there, and they did the same kind of stuff that you're talking about, but instead of spending it, everybody would save it, and then the economy would suffer as a result. So it's funny. It's as if this economic model wouldn't work in other countries where they're not as
No,
um, less moral or
I was
frivolous
about to say,
with their money, right? Isn't that
were they
ridiculous?
more disciplined?
Yeah, like you need people to be like, oh, it's an extra case of beer and maybe some stuff we can order. Let's go,
Right.
man. Like you need that attitude to have that spur economic. If people just save the money, then it would actually really hurt your economy.
Yep.
This is, but a
I mean, it
lot of
really is.
politicians want to control that by giving you temporary cash, like a digital cash. Hey, this will only last for 1 week. You got to go out and spend it, right?
Yeah.
Then they're guaranteed to either get the money back or have the people spend it. And one side says, "Well, now that's digital control, and you're going to hold control over me." And I totally get it, and they would. Let's not mince words. Government does abuse when they can, every
Yes,
single time. Like
absolutely.
there's so many examples, but at the same time, right, when people hold on to it like they do in Japan, then it has the opposite effect. So
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to give somebody free money, they don't get to say what how you're giving it.
I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this other article that I was reading this morning because it's related, um, basically to all of this. But I can't find it right now. It's going too far back. Anyway, I we've been kind of going back and forth on this, and I think you're right when you're saying, the mortgage lenders you're talking to, the economists you're talking to, everybody's like, we have no idea what the hell's happening, and that's why you've seen for the last 2 years nothing happening.
What's funny is you have economists shouldn't have different opinions, but they seem to have more opinions than
Isn't
political
that
pundits,
funny?
man.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't it?
Because, like, how many different, I mean, I know that there's different schools of economics, for like schools of thought within economics, but at the end of the day, a dollar's a dollar.
Well, how do I say this? If some other president were making the changes, I think we'd have a different set of reactions. Would they all be ridiculous, or some of them be? Yes, I think it's still some
Yeah,
of them would be
absolutely.
ridiculous. But I mean, you have some economists stating that the tariffs will drive us into a debt riddled pit we'll never get out of, and it's the worst possible thing we could ever do. And then you have other economists saying the exact opposite, that
Right,
it's going to solve all of our debt problems, and we should have done this years ago, and he's an absolute genius for doing it. So it's like, well, how can you both be right? You can't, first off, you can't both be right,
right,
but how
exactly.
can you both be considered educated economic professionals and come up with looking at the same set of numbers and come up with two different conclusions? And so I think there's so much of that again, CEOs are like, look, let's just do a holding pattern. Let's just see what happens. I
Yeah,
got you and you. I don't. It's too much. It's too much.
I seriously, well, and I'll go one step further on it. I think there's a lot of that happening just with house buying in general and large purchases right now.
It seems
Because
a little bit like trying to make projections with a roulette wheel, doesn't it? You just have
yeah, it
no
really does.
idea if it's going to be red or black.
Yeah, it just it like it's almost like, first of all, this is going to sound really bad, but this goes back to the thing about our population not having very much control. Um, Most of our population is not educated enough on like following all of these things, right? Not that that's not bad or good; it's just ignorance.
Did you? Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I did. Anyway, it's just ignorance, right? There's a lack of wanting to care. Like they don't care, so they look to people who are like, "Oh, this is an expert." And when they see what you're saying, they're seeing the mixed signals from the experts, and they're going, "What? I'm good. I'll just there, yeah." And just confusion overall, and not really knowing what to do. I don't know.
You said most of our we have such an unpopulated or uneducated population, and you reminded me of this video I saw. This is going nowhere. I should stop while I'm ahead, but this woman is
By the
complaining.
way, guys, this would be a great time for you to go grab a beer.
Yeah. Ask
Because
us some questions. What's up? Join
if
in.
you haven't been around on something like this, when Steve goes on a tangent, things are about to get fun. So the
Not this
comment
time.
section
Maybe.
is open. The
Maybe.
comment section is open. Drop them in. Let's go.
So this
Okay.
woman is talking on TikTok or something. She's complaining about how she went to get her car taken care of, and this is a PSA announcement for all you women out there not to be taken advantage of by men. Okay, what happened? Well, I went in with my Toyota, and they told me I needed a Cadillac converter. It's for those of you that are not aware, there is no such thing. She was told that she needed a catalytic converter. But she heard Cadillac converter, and she really went off on this guy. Told him that he had, racial issues, etc., and said
This has got to be on TikTok,
maybe
right?
if it was a Toyota converter, maybe. But no, I'm not going to buy any Cadillac parts for my Toyota car. And I mean, dude, I don't actually know what a catalytic converter does or where it is in the car. I know that it exists. I have heard many times of a catalytic converter. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know exactly how that component works in the car. Okay, I can write you a symphony if you want, or do a mortgage for you, but I can't fix your car. That's okay. I know what a catalytic converter is. Anyways, I lost it, dude. I love. I don't know why it is that I like. Is there something wrong with me that I like those? It's got to be a sin. It's such a sin to watch other people just be stupid.
I was just, what was it on TikTok?
I think it was on X, but it was like
Oh,
from another
really?
platform.
Yeah, well, it's something like that. It seems like it always comes from TikTok.
Those and videos of people that don't know how to act in front of police that then escalate situations completely unnecessarily.
Yes.
Um, God, I saw one the other day of a cop who got run over and her partner shot the person dead. And like it was like mama in a minivan just went nuts, flipped on the cops. And it's like, dude, you just threw your life away. Like, oh my God. Anyways, so now again, I'm going nowhere with this. This is going nowhere. This has nothing to do with anything. Any comments? Anybody got a video you want to share? The viewership numbers are just doing this.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I found some of what I was looking for, by the way. I just want to get your thoughts because I don't know enough about this. So,
I can't see it.
U.S. high yield credit spreads have tightened 181 basis points since April 7th, with spreads now at 280 basis points above treasuries. Credit market investors are back to pricing very optimistic outlook with no recession on the horizon. You always talk about spreads with uh, treasuries. Is this the same thing?
Hold up now. I had to zoom in on it. So wow, okay, well now you're zooming in and I've already zoomed in. So yield credit spreads have tightened 181 basis points since the 7th of April, with spreads now at 280 points above treasuries. Credit
Because
market
they
investors are
were
back
funny.
to pricing in a very optimistic outlook. Okay, so again, this is probably one of the greatest examples we could have here of this guy is an economist, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing. Okay.
Really, really intelligent dude. If y'all don't follow him on X, you should.
All right. So he is looking at one graph here and saying that it looks like the world is or not the world, investors are very optimistic that there is no recession on the horizon and things will get much better.
Okay.
Now we just passed a bill that's going to add 5 trillion to our deficit.
Over 10 years, I'll argue with you on that. But
Fine.
anyway,
Fine. Let's just say $500 billion this year.
fair.
Okay, because it will. So I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic about the economy until we get the debt under control. But then again, that's one of the arguments with the tariffs is that if they do go well, we should be able to pay them off. But I'm very not optimistic. I'm very pessimistic in that I believe that just like Social Security, if Congress or the House believes that they can take money, well, I guess Congress, no, the House believes they can take money from some new savings through tariffs, right? That's going to pay off our debts. Well, we'll just pay off half this year and then over a 10-year plan, one of those crap things, right?
Right.
I don't know how they don't stick their hand in that $53 trillion purse or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the worst part about government, right? Is if it's there, they're going to try to get their hands on it.
Yeah, it's like we give them a Band-Aid and then they learn how to use the weaving in the Band-Aid to make more money. So they just sell it off at, point at, time, whatever. And then they got a wound again.
Yeah,
It's, anyways, what are we going to do? The kind of stuff you talk about at happy hour. It's
that's
true.
right. That's right.
That's true, Carolyn. Thank you for the backup. I appreciate that.
No, I saw that this morning and I'm like, okay, like I said, I don't know that much about it, but I know that you always talk about it. So it's like, okay, that's something that's seems significant that investors are feeling optimistic. We'll say that.
But when they mean investors, so they were talking about treasuries, right? Which
Yes,
is just a really, really, really fancy way of saying stuff the government's selling.
correct. Bonds. Yeah.
Okay, but in other things as well. Okay, but okay. Well, a who buys a treasury that or a bond that's going to pay you 6%, 7%?
Somebody that's looking to park cash long term and not
Typically,
take any risk.
typically it's other countries.
My statement doesn't change.
Okay, correct, touche. Or huge investment firms, right?
Right.
But
Right.
point is you can tell other you can kind of tell a global economic outlook by who's buying our bonds. It's weird.
Right.
And you sometimes don't know who's buying the bonds either. But yeah, man, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Again, most people are in holding patterns right now. So what he sees is no turmoil. I see holding patterns. So, his no turmoil for him means, hey, things are looking really good in the future. I'm hearing nothing. I hear crickets, man. Yes or
Right.
no. I don't know what it's going to be like. So he might get some clicks though and views on that.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I mean, he's been really, really spot on a lot of stuff. And a lot of stuff also I can't follow what the hell he's talking about, so I don't know.
Well, what was his name? Not Gary Gentry. God, I just got an email from somebody he works with today. What's the economist name again? I can't
The
see it.
one we just looked at,
No, the one that you and I went to go see years ago.
Mark Sprigg.
Thank you, Mark Sprague. Um, he was dead wrong on 2025,
Yeah, he was. Yep.
and I trusted him more
Well,
than any economist.
now let's just pause. 2025 is not over yet.
Sure, agreed.
We're only halfway
But
through the
you
year.
seen how many homes are for sale around here?
Yeah.
This is not at all what he was projecting at all.
No, not at all. Um, that was the other chart that I was looking for from this morning, and I'm still scrolling through. The other chart from this morning was talking about the number of homes for sale, the lack of the first time home buyer market, which is what he was talking about. That he thought it was going to be a big first time home buyer market in 2025, and they're not there. It's actually, I think the number was first time home buyers are half of the historical norm um, for this year.
You want to hear something funny on a side note?
So,
Do you see those little white lines on my guitar back there?
yes.
That's tiny printed off guidelines for mortgage that I had next to my computer desk, like stuck on the. I would look over at my guitar to get my ratios for things. So it was kind of funny. It's still mortgage related, and if you ever watch the show again, you'll know something that no one else does. So
That's right. That's one of those little Easter eggs. We have fun with that stuff. I'll never find this because I'm actually looking for it. So,
Right, as soon as we stop the show, you'll find it.
yeah, it'll be the next thing that pops up.
It'll just pop up on your feed. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I don't know. I can tell you that buyers were coming back out at a higher level.
I've noticed that too. I have a lot more leads than I typically do. Well, I don't want
Yeah.
to say that. Things have been
Yeah,
getting hotter than
jinx it.
normal.
You'll jinx it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep an eye for my sellers because look, I use this info to when we're talking about pricing, right? I keep an eye on how many houses in a school district or in a neighborhood or in Austin as a whole, how many of them go under contract from one week to the next. It gives me an idea of how active the weekend was. And there have been times this spring and into the summer that Dripping Springs ISD, which is what I use for out here, in a weekend, there have only been 4 houses go under contract, or 6, or 9. Normal for this time of year is between 20 and 35.
Right.
So, there have been weeks that it's been like, oh crap, where are the buyers? And it's always been below normal until 3 weeks before Father's Day. 3 weeks before Father's Day, it started to pick up. Father's Day, rock bottom. That was the four properties. I've never seen that on a Father's Day in my life. But now again, we are, last Tuesday for the weekend, we're at 27, which is a really solid number for Dripping Springs. Austin was up to like 3,500 under contract in one weekend. Austin MLS, the entire 5-county area, which was about 800 higher than it had been. So all of a sudden, the buyers kind of popped back into the picture.
I noticed it too. My leads almost tripled in the last month or so.
Wow, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, where'd that come from? I'll take it. But so the rates aren't really changing. So what is it?
Dude, I go back to, I think the underlying theme all spring and summer has been consumer sentiment's been like, I don't know what the hell to do. And I think people are like kind of getting like, as much as you can get settled into when Trump is, doing this and doing that. And today we're going to do more tariffs, but we're also going to delay the deadline. And like, I don't care what he does. To me, whatever, it's not going to affect me. I know this, but again, for a lot of other people, they don't know what they don't know. So they freak out and they stop. And it feels like things had been floating along and consumer sentiment was coming back like, okay, things aren't so bad. The tariffs didn't ruin the world. Let's go shopping. So we'll see what happens this weekend. I don't know.
Have you seen any of those graphs of Japanese car makers?
No.
Oh my God. They are eating all of their profit margins. So they had to hit this huge amount of tariffs.
Oh, I did just see one of those actually.
Oh man, they're probably losing money selling cars right now, I would guess.
Interesting. Yeah, Carolyn's like 6.5% isn't so bad. You're right.
You just got used to it, huh, Carolyn?
Carolyn's
could be. Now, there's so many homes for sale. Maybe they get a deal. Who knows? But
yeah, Carolyn's like you and I. She can remember, rates being much higher. So here's Charlie again. This is the other chart that I was looking for. First-time home buyers just hit a 20-year low, only 1.14 million in 2024. That was last year. Okay. So I read it wrong. Nearly half of the long-term average. High prices, low rates, low supply. Well, we've got supply coming back. Yeah, but overall, in the country, we're still short on supply. So here's a 20-year average, almost half. But look at the last 3 years. First-time home buyers.
Man, I'd so be looking for a VA loan to take over.
Yep. I'll go back to it, and you and I, we talk about it on here. I'm going to beat this saying to death, and I don't even know where I heard it from, but I'm just, be the fireman. Like, don't be freaked out. You're going to buy a house. Can you afford it? Do you need it? And are you going to be in it for 7 to 10 years? If those are, even you don't need it if you want it, and you're still going to be in it for 7 to 10 years, and you can afford it, go buy a damn house. Because nobody else is. Obviously, now that after I just said buyer numbers are up, right? But seriously, overall, we've got a lot of inventory, and I'm negotiating the ever living crap out of contracts right now on the buyer side. And I've got buyers doing it to my sellers as well. Like, this is what I would say this is what a healthy market looks like, because both sides are giving stuff up. Now, there are some sellers who have to sell, and they're throwing their skirts up, but I mean, oh God, what are you rubbed off on me today, man? What are you doing to me?
What now?
You just like, I'm speaking in Steve-isms over here.
Oh yeah, throwing the
exactly.
I did catch that skirt comment. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad. I probably just could have kept going right by it, and you wouldn't have said anything. But anyway,
because you're talking like me, it didn't bother me. It made me feel comfortable.
Exactly. It's like that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking in Steve-isms over here. But my point being is that you always said it. You did not want to buy a house during 2021 and the first part of 2022. Nobody did because they're having to pull all their cash out and they're in a crappy cash position.
What's scaring me is how many people are doing HELOCs now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they? Why are
You and
they?
I heard that when we went to that seminar.
Oh,
They're
that's right.
yeah, they're way up. And even the president of UWM was like, I don't really like people doing these, but you know, they're popular, so we're pushing them and fine, but let's get them into fixed products, please. Right? Let's not do another 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not interested in that. I can't stand those products. The one products that have a bad rap that I do like are the reverse mortgages, believe it or not. They've completely revamped those. Those are
Oh, yeah.
very different than they used to be. Um,
Here's your
bad
other
bad
chart.
rep for a reason in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. They were bad up front.
Uh,
Um, Passenger car export prices showed a sharp decline. So this is basically, guys, what Steve was talking about is they are
Japan.
Japan is eating their tariffs. That's just that's what's happening. And interesting though, right? Because everybody said no, nobody's going to eat their tariffs. They're going to pass them on to the end consumer.
Well, they
So
can't.
why aren't they doing that though?
They can't because then all American companies would have a $30,000 car, and all Japanese companies would have an $80,000 car, or not 80, but
So, even 60.
60. Let's call it. Well,
But
it's not 100% tariffs. What are
well,
the tariffs? 25%?
25, I think. So 30,000 versus 38,000.
Sure.
But you're still playing behind the eight ball on it.
Well, it certainly doesn't make it easier for you to sell your cars. That's for sure.
No, not at all. Well, but that was the, like, to me, that was the ultimate argument the whole time, right? Like, well, they're just going to raise the price of their cars and pass it on to the end consumer. Well, are they? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Looks like they're
We'll
willing to
see.
eat it just to stay competitive in the market. Because what
We'll
happens if
see.
they don't eat it? There's a crap ton of cars sitting on the lot somewhere.
I'll be interested to see what happens to electric cars in 4 or 5 years.
Complete. And guys, this is y'all are getting a glimpse into us sitting at a bar and talking right now. Um, Electric cars. I just saw. I haven't been able to verify this yet. It could have been some AI crap. I don't know. So I'm going to throw that out there. But I swear I just saw that Dodge made a big announcement about using a hydrogen engine that's the same mechanically as their gas and diesel engines and being able to use the same transmissions and stuff that are currently in their vehicles.
So the hydrogen engines create electricity, which then power motors, unlike the gasoline engines, which power the engines. Right? My
No,
dad, huh?
I think the hydrogen is still powering. It's still the internal combustion engine.
From what I understand, they have electric motors. I could be wrong. In fact, it would make a lot of sense for them just to have an engine. I do know that they pollute air, I'm sorry, water, so they don't pollute at all.
Correct.
Um,
They burn water. They don't burn water anyway. There's a reaction, electrolysis.
they
Anyway,
burn hydrogen, is what they do.
yes, yeah,
And again, you're right. It's not burn. It's convert somehow. And
yeah.
I'm again, I don't understand that.
Ooh, Hyundai, zero down, zero interest. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's right, Carolyn. You got to buy a house. That's a fact.
Man, they're taking it on the chin, aren't they? My God.
But and we always talk about it, right? It's the same as builders. Where are the incentives? You can tell. You can
Did
tell
you
who's selling stuff.
did you see that ever since that ad that Jaguar came out with? And you know
Oh,
the
they
ad I'm
lost their
talking about.
shorts, man.
Do you know
They
what their
lost.
sales are down by?
It's like 90 something percent.
97.5%.
If y'all don't, well, anyway, if y'all don't know what Steve's talking about, they came out with a like a pronouns commercial, right? Like they them pronouns
Look, this
commercial.
this company got famous by making cars and putting them in Bond movies. And
Oh, that's right.
so when people liked driving a Jaguar, at least originally, it was all about wanting the image of the coolest man on the planet, the most masculine, shaken not stirred James Bond.
Yeah,
Okay. And then they came out with a commercial where there were no genders, but they were probably 20 people. If
yeah.
you get my drift, and people were like, all these race car fanatics, you think that's your target audience, right? I mean, it wasn't even so much about what they did. It was about their target audience. You
Right.
completely missed the target
Every
audience.
yeah, when
And
you're a
then
political,
they started replying to comments on their Twitter feed with really, really backwards stuff, like telling their fans, we don't need you anymore, don't buy our cars. You'll see how the
wow.
world's going to change. You can be with us or with if you want to or not, but we're moving on without you. And they're just really not. It was activist stuff, not I'm running a business and want to pay my employees kind of stuff.
Right.
And then today we're down 97.5%,
I,
and guaranteed this will be studied in colleges, in business
yeah.
schools and colleges.
Well, I mean, think back to Bud Light.
They
With
still have not recovered.
That's right, they haven't. And I like look. You can be an activist all you want. You can be an activist, but if you got shareholders and you're a corporation, maybe you ought to think about what you're being activating on.
I'm really torn on it.
Yeah, been a lot of issues with Jag cars and SUVs. Huh? Interesting.
Yeah. You know who else had a lot of issues was the Ford F-150. They spent
Recently,
yeah, when they first came out with the F-150, it was I'm going to butcher the numbers, but they did something like 600 million in profits right that year without, if you just got rid of the F-150, but when you put it back in they lost like 1.2 billion dollars. Yeah, they had so many problems with it. They had to recall it. They had to fix it, redo the batteries, redo the insides. It was so bad.
was this the
Um,
Lightning, the
yeah, the
electric
Ford
one?
F-150 Lightning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was something else in the article with Jaguar that said they're waiting for some new line to come out and they've lowered their production, but they're used to selling 2,000 cars a month and they're down to like 97 cars a month. So no matter how you slice it, they're really hurting.
Wow.
Um, I don't know. I don't like politics in business. I don't like politics on LinkedIn. I can't get over it. I just got back onto LinkedIn recently, and people. I thought it was a place to like show what you are professionally and perhaps find jobs, right? Or be what GMC and Chevy just recalled 60,000 engines. Yeah, that's about right. Um, anyways, yeah, I got onto LinkedIn now, and it's like if you don't love Trump, you're an idiot, or if you love Trump, you're going to hell. And it's like, dude, this is business. Like, don't you
Yeah.
want to sell to everyone? Are you literally going to say no to someone because of their political beliefs? Would you do
I
that
mean,
for
some
religious
people will.
beliefs? Like, I just don't. It's not very American to me. But
Yeah,
sorry,
some people will. I don't know.
or smart. It's
Or
dumb.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Some people want to be hyper political and have fun. That's fine.
I guess this is why regulations exist, right? Like why you and I can't legally discriminate, even though we wouldn't anyways. I know you too well, but is that going to
Well,
be the rest of the world soon? Are we gonna have to police everybody and make sure their
that's a good.
speech is
Are you not
perfect? And it's
buying a Ferrari because you didn't like their commercial?
no, I think we just let them be stupid. Remember that comedian that I was talking about? I can't remember who it was, but he was like making fun of all the warning stickers that are on
Oh,
everything. And he's like, "Look, I got a solution for this to get rid of all the stupid people. Let's just get rid of all the warning tags and let that problem work itself out."
it's called. Look, former biology teacher. It's called Darwinism.
Yeah,
Um,
survival of the fittest.
look, there's a reason evolution got us to where we are. Like, are we going to be the reason it doesn't progress? I
Bro,
don't know.
do you
Maybe.
know
I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no.
if you go to the Austin airport, there's a case on the way to security on one of those three, where it shows recommended items that like people have brought on the plane. And you just FYI, if you have this, you can't bring it on the
Don't bring
plane.
it in.
You know, there's a chainsaw in there.
What?
That means somebody was like, "I'm ready to go. Let's get on the plane." Right?
Well, well, yeah, they're too hard to get in and out of. Yeah, that's right. I well, why can't you bring a chainsaw on a plane? Does it have gas
You
in
got to
it?
be a special kind of stupid to bring a chainsaw onto an airplane when you can't even bring like nail filers. So I don't care. I'll say that. I'll say that I don't want to work with that person. Because that would be an intelligence issue for me, I suppose.
I'm not gonna name any names, but I've got a really good friend who accidentally walked. through TSA with a firearm in the bag.
You can get shot for that kind of stuff.
You can. She did not. She did get a ticket, and
Sure,
I think
you
they
were
ended up getting the
beyond
firearm
correct. Yes.
back. So anyway, you also cannot go through TSA with a pistol, even if it's not loaded. You can't do it. Just saying, in case you needed to know.
You know, my sister is a school teacher, and just went to I think it was England or France, one of the two, with a big group of students. Of course, now I can't remember where it was, but on the way back, one of the students had rounds. He had some bullets in his bag from shooting with his dad, and they missed it on the way out. They got it on the way in, and in the country he was in, I think it was England. You can't have. Yeah, no wine over. God, that's so sad, isn't it? That's just cruel and unusual punishment right there. Um, in the bag, you know that you can't have ammunition at all. You can't even
Yeah,
have handguns there, right? Doesn't matter. You have to have a special license, etc.
yeah.
It held up. I mean, it was like 8 hours in interrogation. They had to get a lawyer. The dad had to come overseas. I mean, it was a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Anyway, yeah, we could talk stories for a long time. But anyway, oh, moral of the story: interest rates are flat. Just like they've been for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It only took us an hour to get there.
This
So
was
just
this was an extremely long show for having no format. We did a pretty good job, I think, on time, at least.
it really was. It really was. Guys, we'll try to have a little more of a format next week, or we won't. Maybe, I mean, let us know if this is the way you like it. We'll go back to this format too.
I like the comments. Thank you for
Yes,
commenting.
thank you for the comments, all of y'all. Absolutely.
Yes, both of
Um,
you.
all two of you.
Yes.
We'll see you next week, everybody.
Boosting my ego.